you want me to put it on or take it off? Like
No, leave it on. I'm wearing a hat too.
Well, this is...
it's you, man. It's
most
you.
of these cameras are overhead,
I don't think I've ever seen it without it, to be honest with you.
I can put it lower. But that, no, that's fine.
We have traveled here today to conduct an on-the-spot interview, not pre-planned. Nothing is choreographed here. And this is not legal advice.
This is dated information, by the way.
That's right.
It comes from the 1970s, 80s, and the most earliest document we have here is 2004.
So we're just...
Then we have other documents that we're using that comes from 1611.
That one's from 1611.
And this one here is from about 1850.
Okay.
And these here describe events 2 millennia ago. So, I mean, what we're talking about is not new at all. It's been around for a long time. It just hasn't been brought to our attention.
Oh, okay. So this is a history book.
Yeah. Well, of course.
That's what it reads like to me. That's definitely for sure. You know, a lot of people, like I'm saying, you know, there's whole universities dedicated to either trying to prove it right or prove it wrong. I don't think it's so much about that. It's about what's inside it, right? To be taken out of it. Not...
Well, it's kind of a history book. I don't think you can find another one like it because it actually foretells a lot of things that you don't get in history books. Usually, you just get a, description of the chronological events of the past. But I always used history. I figured that you looked into the mirror of history to see the signposts of the future.
Okay, yeah. The history repeats itself,
right.
I hear, yeah.
But this here is kind of unique in that it actually foretells events, and a lot of them have already come to pass as foretold. So, but anyway...
That's like what William Cooper says. He says either they're trying to...
Is he still with us?
No, they took out William Cooper.
What happened there?
I wonder what happened with William Cooper, eh? Like
apparently,
7 weeks after 9/11?
He said that Alex Jones was to step in for him or something? That wasn't acceptable? Something to that effect.
The controlled resistance part of this.
Anyway. Yeah, so... But
we're not here to badmouth Alex Jones.
Not at all. No, he's doing what he can. Anyway, so what... Well, no, I think he's doing... I think he's just told when it... I don't know if his stuff's screened or what. But
he never talks about the Jesuits, though.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people won't talk about the Jesuits.
Apparently, Jay is kind of an interesting letter.
Apparently, it's only been around for like 400 years or 600 years or something like that. There's no so the word Jew didn't work.
Anyway,
and Jesus would have been.
Okay, so we'll continue on where we left off with that, and so after we got this technological backdrop. Right. We'll try to relate it to some discussion in these old books.
Okay.
Some of this prophecy, and I don't know if you want to take a shot of that so you can read what that is. This is what they call James Strong's Concordance, which has every word that's in this King James Bible listed in this book. In the first 7/8 of it.
Yes.
And then they have a Hebrew dictionary. And a Greek dictionary at the end. And every word in the King James Bible that's listed here has a reference number to those dictionaries.
So you can look up the two different definitions.
You can look up a word if you have a problem with it.
Yeah.
And it will give you the meaning that the Greek, they'll give you first the Greek word that it came from and the various meanings of that Greek word. Because the Greek language has a lot less vocabulary than the English language.
It's like Latin, and yes.
And because of that, then each Greek word has a lot more meaning that can be drawn from it because English is much more specific.
Certainly.
On top of that, this is referring to a time period when there was actually no vocabulary to call this a camera or call that a computer. Because at the time of Christ, there was none of these technologies. There was no rockets, no planes, none of this stuff. So you could
no dictionaries.
Well, there'd be dictionaries, but I mean, there would not be a word for a camera because there was no such thing.
Oh, certainly. For a picture-making machine.
Well, there wouldn't even be that because there was no picture-making machines then.
That's right, yeah.
There was artists, drawings, whatever.
Maybe ideas, yeah.
Digital technology, fiber optics. So all this technology and the vocabulary we use in today's day didn't even exist then. So if you happen to be projected in a time machine 2,000 years forward to today from then, and you were restricted to using the Greek language and the vocabulary of that day, you would be very compromised in your ability to explain what you see.
To actually deliver the narrative of what it is that you saw.
So we need to kind of keep that in the back of our mind as to when we read this, as to what he was describing. Okay?
Okay.
So.
And he, you mean Jesus?
No, here I mean John. John,
you mean John
in 70 A.D. wrote. He was on the island of Patmos basically for his safety. He wasn't locked up there because he was writing stuff that they wanted to get rid of. And get rid of him too. Okay?
Yeah.
Was
so
he bad for business?
I'm sure it was.
No.
Okay, but anyway, so he wrote this here book, and it was one of the ones he ended up in the Bible with. And all these books in the Bible, we're told, were inspired by God, these men that wrote them.
Inspired by.
Okay, so only the original writings by them are the ones that were inspired of God, and ever since that, man has tried to improve, and I think in a way it was intentionally tried to improve, most of it, some of it not, but they tried to make it as relevant to the day that they translated it or wrote it as possible.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so that is why I think there were some discrepancies in here. The Bible tells us that those discrepancies would be made, and it said they'd be shut up and sealed until the time they're to be revealed.
Okay.
And I think that possibly happened through this whole language translation process. That these words, when they were translated, were mistranslated and sealed the original meanings of the inspired word.